Well, it's a few minutes to 9, and it's about time for my daily rant. So I was going to talk about genius. What does it mean to be a genius? Well, there's a lot of clarity on it. A genius comes up with something that's correct and unexpected and effective. So you can have a genius in music, like J.S. Bach. You can have genius in engineering, like Tesla or Thomas Edison. You can have a scientific genius, like Sir Isaac Newton or Maxwell, Einstein. What do all these men have in common? Well, if you ever go into their biographies, you find that they were somewhat brusque, but short with people about things that they did wrong. But just being obnoxious is not genius. Um, they also were well above average intelligence. You aren't going to be a genius if you're not able to see things other people can't see and have clear understanding. You're not going to be a genius if you don't understand how things work in the first place. Um, and finally, they had opportunity, a field to explore where the ground had not been heavily traveled. Okay. Isaac Newton, he was working out the scientific method, the field of things that could be developed using calculus. The calculus, and because of course Leibniz also developed calculus at the same time, you can't call that genius. It was the next logical step in algebra at the time. But the use of calculus on um, the way things behaved uh, led to Newton getting planetary motion right. The use of calculus on that, it was a step on, uh, finding uh, the core formulas that were used that could be used to get Copernican motion go properly out of just a simple attraction formula. Um, Edison had this massive field of things you could do with motors and with machinery, with electricity that was just being tapped. Um, Tesla had this massive. What's the matter, Kenneth? Uh-oh. You need to take your diaper off? Go potty? Okay. There you go. So Edison had this massive field of machinery with electrical systems. Tesla had this massive idea of electromagnetic force to explore. Um, Einstein had a lot of things in physics that were a bunch of facts loosely uh, gathered that had been gathered through the efforts of other men. I mean, Michelson-Morley experiment and things like that. And um, the black body radiation problem and things like that 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 weren't clarified. So he was able to come up with uh, the quantum effect and with the you know the description of relativity and how that would affect things. And so there was this massive set of facts in physics that just needed somebody to coalesce them in genius level to come up with the formulas for how things worked. And so what fields are open, okay, leads to what genius can show, okay? Um, the genius of a Unix core, a kernel, right, was there because it was open, right? The field of how to queue up things for a processor was open, so Kerningham and Ritchie could be the genius that they were, and the field of language was open in the late 60s, so people could come up with ways of making a computer program, a language that would be very efficient and fast. And you see that then after the field has closed in and been developed for a couple decades, the genius isn't there anymore. There's no more genius in computer science. It's legerdemain. There's no more genius in uh, mechanical engineering. It's just going ahead and applying the things we know how to do to them. Um, so genius has to have an open field in order to do things. The field that I have chosen to explore is nuclear engineering. And the last geniuses in nuclear engineering were really in the 1960s and 50s. The genius after the Manhattan Project closed down and during that boom period where they were trying to figure out what they could do with nuclear engineering. And I think that that's still an open field. I think that's still a field that has vast areas that can be used. And so anyway, the next open field, we can't know. Okay, we didn't know what the development of the electric coil and the electric circuit and would do for the world. So it's genius can't be predicted ahead of time. You must have it in your population, ready to go. These smart people, these people, the tolerance for people who are smart and a little bit brusque. So that when the time comes for a new idea to be used, those geniuses can come in, those people can come in and manifest their genius. So, but political systems don't like brusque. that isn't good for a system that's trying to make everybody happy. It causes trouble for people to be rude. The cruelty of normal people to those who show them up in public school makes genius harder to show. It stultifies, it breaks genius from its from and stops it in its tracks. Government schools destroy children's minds in multiple ways, but the worst is it stops the geniuses. Anyway, that's about all I have to say on that topic, and peace and joy to you all. Remember, guard the smart, brusque people. Это Сухогруз.